Welcome everyone to Knox Makers Show and Share. We come here every Tuesday night, show off projects we're working on, things we've made, things we've completely screwed up, so we can learn from each other. We talk about classes coming up, we talk about events, and we basically just really love to see everybody's stuff that they've worked on. So we have a sign-up sheet. If anyone forgot to get in the sign-up sheet, just like wave at me and I'll write your name down. But first up that we have written down is Joe, and he has embroidery.
Hello everybody, I'm Joe. I like to go camping, and when I go hiking and things, I need to keep the weight on my hips because my back kind of is wonky. So if I can keep all my weight down there, I have my backpack is one of those that has a frame on it, and it didn't have all of the volume that I needed to carry all my stuff still. Once it's down there though, I can tote it around pretty good. So I made myself a couple of pouches that I call my saddle bags. They kind of go there and there on me. But I wanted to bring it up because I see Thea doing all of these really cool embroidery things, and it kind of reminded me of the knots and the things that I used to make the pouch. So some of these are like, I think that these were field stitches, and then some of these were like, this was my youngest son's hand when he was, I think, 4, and I used a rope stitch for those. But anyways, it's not as fine as Thea's work, but I was still reminded of it, and I wanted to show that one. This one's, I sewed beads onto everything, so made a couple little tassels. But yeah, they're just oil tan, and they're pretty waterproof, and they serve the purpose. But anyways, it's a fun way to fancy things up, and that's that. So. Oh, sorry. I don't remember. I made this so long ago. it was a minute ago. But I remember that the oil tan kind of messed up my sewing machine a little bit, and it's still in the feet of it, so it doesn't seem to affect the function, but it's there.
When you say oil tan, is it like a wax?
It's like, it's a treated canvas. It'll actually hold water. It's the remnants of my teepee that I made. So, but yeah, it'll actually turn, like, if you yellow a little bit from the chemical coming off of it. It's unnatural. But thanks.
We have a lot of outdoorsy, makery stuff going on here. It's all blurry. Come on. Oh, one of the buttons. I don't know which button. I don't press the buttons. Turn it off and back on again. Okay. Next up, we have Ben, who has bronze coating. Wait. Come on.
I didn't know my writing was that bad. It's a bronze casting. So I made this with my lost wax vacuum casting process that I've talked about a few times. It's been a little while since I did anything with it, but I finished it on Sunday. It's the same part as I made this in aluminum earlier, and it didn't come out as well as I was hoping it would. It seemed like there were lots of bubbles and things in there. There was texturing on the edges, and I'm still not really sure what's wrong with it. It might be that when the wax burned out, it left some ash, but this turned out a lot better. It also might be that I was using scrap aluminum here, and I was using jewelry grade bronze, so that might. So I'm gonna clean it up and see how it works. But yeah, this is for my car model. That's what the pattern looked like originally. It's a little hard to see, but I 3D printed the part itself, and I used some wax line to make the channels for it, because it sits like that in the mold, and you pour in the metal, and it flows through. Gosh, it flows through all the channels and into the void where the part is. So, anyway, that's it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there's casting grain available for brass and silver and all kinds of interesting metals.
I think you said at the beginning, but I missed it. What is the function of this device?
It's for a car model that I'm making. It doesn't have any real function. It's just no, it's just a part for a car model. It's for part of the engine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that,
Is that an intake then?
No, it's the part that connects to the engine to the radiator. So, yeah.
Okay.
Your wax casting, is that vacuum wax or just wrapping?
It is. Yeah, it's vacuum.
Do you do jewelry?
I'd like to get to the point where I could make jewelry quality stuff.
I have gemstones and I'm interested in jewelry vacuum casting, and I've done carving.
I know you can get, and it depends on the, goodness, am I standing too close to this? You can, yeah, and you can get special investment powder to make the molds, and you can actually do where you have you set the gems in the wax, and yeah, sure. Any more questions? Okay.
We are working in the process of setting up a jewelry zone, or a sub-zone of machining, which will be for jewelry making, so that's exciting. Next on the list, we have Sabine, who has laser cards for D&D.
So I play D&D a lot, and I've had the fortune of having 3 different friends with whom I played games with, who are all friends with each other, who all have birthdays close to each other. So I've decided to make each of them, a set of cards. So how do I zoom out? So in D&D lore, there's this set of cards called the Deck of Many Things. It's analogous to tarot in what we have in the real world. So with the addition that it's D&D, so there's magical effects. Some cards give you like additional gold or additional status effects, or summons the personification of death to kill you. It greatly varies. So I decided to make for each of them a set of these, one deck for each of them, and trying to, the design of the faces, I got it online. I was recently notified that the spelling is wrong. It's supposed to be Rogue, not Rouge. Fortunately, I was able to fix it. And the back design is supposed to be the initial, so that's the letter A, set 4 ways and then cloned across. And I have, it's for I'm making a deck for 2 other people as well. So I have one here. This is E, and I'm going to be making another one that's J. Just making one of these takes an hour and a half in the laser cutter. So it's a patient process, to say the least. This is what I was doing all day. I was working from home. So,
You know this is on the internet.
it's fine. I was productive. You have to do something for the hour and a half this thing's going, so at least do work. So, yeah. Any questions? Yes. Yeah, the backside was by myself. There was a fancy font that was in Inkscape called MattJax_Fractor. It had this nice calligraphy looking letters, so I just played around with different ways of arranging it, just putting it in a cross in different directions. That worked out the best way that I could easily clone it. I tried other arrangements. I just got confused as to how to fit them together, so this was the easiest way. So, thank you. All right.
Next up, we have Daryl with knives.
Surprise, more knives. I'm trying to have a thing like Russell, you know. I want the memes and the jokes and everything to come toward me. I just want to give you some, ease some of your pressure for that, Russell. This is really what's going on there. Yeah. I've been working on knives, new blacksmith, I can't even call myself a blacksmith, but that's what I'm working on. And I've showed my first two so far. I've got 3 and 4, which I made pretty quickly for me. I'm using a book that just shows how to make shows the basic steps of making just a kind of rugged knife, right? And I've just followed that, trying roughly rapid fire for these two. So I took, just steel billets or steel bars and turn them into, in this case, this knife. So you see the pattern here. Looks like a pattern, doesn't it? Those are hammer marks. You can try to polish those out. Actually, there's a lot of people really like this kind of more rugged look because it shows this is actually made by somebody. It's not made in a factory, right? So I'll say that's what I'm doing. But I actually did. I mean, this is atrocious in terms of how much bad hammer work I've got here, but I actually kind of like the pattern that it's come up with, so I'm gonna stick with it. When I came here tonight, I wasn't sure if I'd have anything to show, but when I did, I brought 2 of these. So here's one that a week ago I had for both of these. I had the basic shape hammered out, right? I had a basic bevel hammered into it, and this weekend I came in and ground these into kind of their final shape and put a little bit of a ground bevel into it. Joe helped me drill a hole, and then I finished that work. And then you put these scales on them. These things are called scales. In this case, this is a sort of mahogany wood with some pins, and it's all epoxied together. So this one, when I came here just after 6, looked very like this one. And I went over to the grinder and made a big, huge mess, which I cleaned up. Clean your space. And just threw a little boiled linseed oil on both blade and handle. And I've still got to do a lot more fine sanding and shaping on this, but that's the rough shape, and I feel really good about these. So that's where we are. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool, thanks.
The knife guy. Next on the list, we have Amy, who wrote down box. So we'll see.
I don't know why I put a question mark. It's definitively a box.
I was wondering that too. I saw it. I'm like, that's
I don't know. After I finished writing, I realized I didn't have an eraser, so I made a box. It occurred to me that I don't really know what to say about a box because it's just, that is what it is. A while back, I broke the box that I have for my Mahjong set, and for approximately 9 to 12 months, I was like, wow, I wish I had the skills to actually replace it. And then I started coming here. So I made a box with, I guess, miter joints, and then I used a table saw to route this out, then just chiseled the rest out. It's hard to tell from this angle. It's definitely a lot deeper than it needs to be. But by the time I realized that, it seemed like a lot of effort to fix it. So I'm going to put a rule book in and just call. That was totally the plan all along, was to fit a rule book inside. And that was definitely my very intelligent plan this whole time. But anyway, I had a scrap left over from the board that I cut the bottom out long ways instead of wide ways, so I had a weird strip. So I just resawed that down, and then I don't know if the seam is, how visible the seam is, but I just glued them together. Yeah, there's a seam there. Cool. But yeah, I just glued it together sideways, and then it kept going like this, because that's what happens when you put pressure sideways onto very thin things. So I put a handle on it to keep it, to brace it, but also it's a handle, and it definitely looks intentional. So yeah, I made a box. That's the thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, I totally forgot. Thanks. So most of the box is maple, but I put walnut in here because that was just there. And I think it also looks intentional. Like I thought, wow, I think these would look great together. But yeah.
Definitely a very lovely box. Next up, Branko has electronics repair.
So basically, so I work for a financial publication, and so I do a lot of math, and I hate touchscreens. So I use just like a manual calculator, but a few weeks back, my solar battery-powered calculator thing just started not working, and I thought, oh, it's just the battery, just got to change it. So I opened her up to change it, and I come across this lovely thing. And it expanded, the battery had expanded, obviously, and then what it did was it actually ripped the thing that holds the battery in and pulled the pad off, which is basically, in electronics, you've got a little pad where everything solders to, and yeah, it ripped it off the board, which most people wouldn't bother repairing. They just throw it out and yeah, get a new one. I don't like throwing away things, so I went and fixed it. So now I don't have a ton of photos because I didn't plan this through, but basically what I did was, this is the original pad here, and this is the side that was ripped. And basically what I did was, first I desoldered everything, and then I just got like a sharp, scrapey kind of tool, and I scratched off the green coating, and I just did that all the way around this area here, so that I exposed enough of the circuit that you could actually solder to it. And then basically, yeah, just heated it up and soldered it and repaired it, and now it works fine. So that was it. Super basic, but don't have to throw your old calculator away if you rip the pad off. So, any questions? What do you mean?
I mean, literally see something that small.
It's not that. I mean, it's like this size calculator. It's not a tiny little thing like this. It wasn't that small. No, maybe it looks smaller because it's on the screen, but that's a CR, it's not a 2032, it's like the button cell, it's about this big. So, yeah, it's not super tiny, it was pretty easy to see, so, yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you.
That transitions nicely into classes we have coming up. Tomorrow night, there's a Learn to Solder a Knox Makers badge class at 7 o'clock. There's still tickets for that. it's a through-hole soldering, so it's the basic stuff. It's not quite at that level, but you have to start somewhere. So I encourage you to come if you want to learn to solder or you want a light-up badge of Knox Makers. This Sunday, there's a cutting torch class. At 1:30, there's one ticket left for that, so get out your phones and buy it. Next Monday starts the Arduino series, which is being taught by Joe. That is, you buy the ticket for next Monday, and it covers 3 classes. It's a 10-class series, I think, 8-class series. So you start out with buying the first 3, and then if you like it, you can keep coming after that. You can talk to Joe about that. And also on the 15th, there's a horseshoe pumpkin class, which I think is a Saturday. And that's being taught by David, who is an excellent welder and teaches great metal classes. And you get to go home with a Halloween decoration. Tonight, we're bringing back Tuesday night talks. So if you're interested in Arduino, if you're not sure if you want to sign up for Joe's class yet, you can hear Isaac talk for a few minutes after this program. We'll have a short intermission, and then we'll come back in here. Anyone who's interested can come and listen to what Arduino is, what it does, the different applications you can use it for, and just get a basic understanding before you go to Joe's class. So that'll be right after this, after a few minutes. So a couple announcements. Some of you might know that we won a grant recently from the Arts and Cultural Alliance. And we got our first delivery of some new welding machines. You might have seen them when you walked in. So that's super exciting. Joe has been itching to unbox them and set them up. So if you're interested in helping with that, you should follow him after this and help with that. And one last thing, we are all volunteers here. We run this place all ourselves. It's a community. So you know I'm going to ask, is anyone willing to take out the trash tonight? Yes, thank you. Is anyone willing to change the air conditioner filters? Yes. And if you don't know how to change the air conditioner filters or take out the trash and you want to learn, just follow them and they will show you how to do it so you can raise your hand faster next week. And that's all we've got tonight. So if you want to hear Isaac's talk, just come back in a few minutes, and otherwise, have fun making stuff.